When my own daughter-in-law called the police to escort me off my property, I didn't shout. I simply opened my folder of signed documents and watched her face fall. Everything she thought she owned had just slipped away in silence. And that was only the beginning. Rain struck my porch like 1,000 tiny needles, sharp enough to wake every old scar in my arm. I pressed my palm against the bandage, feeling the throb where the stitches still fought to hold. The urgent care doctor had said, "Don't lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk." But tonight I carried something heavier than that. Pride. I stood before the door of the house I'd paid for, listening to laughter slip through the seams of the windows. It was a sound I used to love. I rang the bell once, then twice. The glow of the foyer light blurred through the glass, warming everything except me. "Jared," I called, keeping my voice steady, the way my choir director taught me to hold a note. Never shake, even when your knees do. "Baby, open the door." My breath fogged the pain, and behind it, I saw them. Lyra, my daughter-in-law, and her mother, Vera, two silhouettes, still and silent. The light blinked out, a quick click, like a camera shutter. The rain hissed harder. For a moment, all I saw was my own reflection, gray hair matted to my face, eyes steady. I whispered, "So that's how it is." I tried the garage keypad. Dead. The side gate, tied shut. Every point of entry sealed like a plan rehearsed. Inside, their voices rose, muffled laughter. Maybe at me. My chest ached with something worse than cold. Humiliation. I remembered a church committee once using my donation but leaving my name off the thank you list. That same emptiness found me again. Still, I refused to beg. I turned toward the doorbell camera, angling my face so the lens could see. "This is Henrietta Clove, homeowner," I said. "I'm injured and requesting entry." The red light blinked, proof. I lifted my wrist, showing the urgent care bracelet still damp from the rain. Then I pressed the medic alert button, linked to Eldon Mays, my neighbor across the street. He was the kind who never ignored a call. "Give them one last chance," I muttered. Through the glass, I saw movement. Tess, my granddaughter, her giggle, sweet and small, pierced the night before someone hushed her. I swallowed hard. "Grandma's okay, sweetheart?" The silence that followed burned hotter than the rain. Minutes passed before I heard tires on wet concrete. A truck door slammed. Boots on the porch. "Evenin', Miss Clove," Eldon said, tipping his soaked hat. His flashlight swept over the blood seeping through my gauze, then up to the door. Bracelet pinged me twice. "You all right?" "I will be," I answered. My voice didn't tremble. I gave him the facts. No emotion, no extras, just what any officer would need for a report. He called the non-emergency line, asked for a welfare check, noted every detail like clockwork. He stood half a step behind me, giving me both room and strength. Inside, shadows flickered, the lamp turned on, off, on again, as if someone couldn't decide whether to face me. Finally, the deadbolt turned. The door creaked open, letting a wave of warm air roll across the threshold. Vera gasped when she saw Eldon's badge clipped to his jacket. The wine glass in her hand shattered, red streaking the tile like spilled shame. Lyra froze. Her face, pale and rigid, betrayed something colder than fear, certainty. Jared stood behind her, jaw tight, eyes darting from me to Eldon. He didn't move forward, didn't speak, just stared like a stranger caught between guilt and calculation. Eldon's tone stayed level. "Evening. We'll need towels, a chair, and a bit of good sense here." He didn't shout, didn't threaten. He just stood there, all calm steel. I stepped one board inside, rain dripping from my hair onto my floor, and said nothing. I looked at each of them, memorizing their faces under the porch light. Not one apology came, but that was fine. I wasn't looking for sorry. I was counting. And then Lyra said the one thing that told me this wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. "Do you have a warrant?" Lyra asked, chin lifted like she was the one who built this house. Her voice cracked against the last drizzle, sharp enough to slice the quiet. The porch light flickered above us, stuttering like even it couldn't believe the question. Eldon didn't flinch. "Ma'am," he said. Slow and certain. This is a welfare check, not a raid. You've got an injured elder and a child inside. We don't need a warrant to make sure nobody's bleeding out. Jared stood behind her, arms crossed, trying to look neutral. But his eyes said everything. Guilt mixed with that slippery kind of shame men get when they let someone else drive their choices. Vera half hid behind the door, her wine-stained tiles now turning tacky underfoot. We have house rules, she murmured. I smiled without warmth. House rules, I repeated. Well, isn't that something, my mother used to say. If they quote rules, it's because they've already broken the moral ones. Eldon called in the situation. Steady, procedural, every word landing soft but solid. I spoke toward the doorbell camera again, making sure the lens caught my face. Henrietta Clove, homeowner, injured, requesting entry. My tone was calm, clipped, each syllable filed down to a point. Then I asked, "Where's Tess?" Lyra said she was asleep, voice flat. "Fine," she added, but she didn't meet my eyes. "Then I'd like a towel and a chair." I said, silence. The kind of silence that tells you the answer is no. Eldon's radio buzzed, his name repeating faint through static. "Unit en route," he said, glancing at me. I nodded. That was enough. "Loretta Dean," I said, Tapping my bracelet again, within seconds, her voice came through Eldon's phone speaker, warm but firm. "Henrietta? Lord, what's going on?" She didn't wait for an answer before reciting the HOA safety clause by heart. "No resident shall obstruct aid or welfare checks to another." Vera's eyes darted toward Lyra. Money and reputation, their favorite gods, suddenly felt shaky. "Miss Voss," Loretta said, her tone now businesslike. "If this incident's logged, the HOA can hold a compliance hearing. You don't want that on the minutes." Lyra's lips pressed tight, but she stayed still. "A towel and a chair," Eldon reminded her. Not a request anymore. Jared moved toward the linen closet, then froze when Lyra shook her head. Eldon saw it. So did the camera. He stepped to the garage keypad, tried the code, rejected. The green light blinked red. "Changed," he muttered. "The gate, tied with new wire. The slider, barred. Locks changed within a day," he noted. I turned slightly toward the porch cam. "Locks changed without my authorization," I said clearly. "Document that." My voice was low but unshakable. When I asked again for a towel, Lyra said, "You're wet because you chose to be out there." I didn't blink. "And you chose to lock your mother-in-law outside in the rain. Choices have weight, sweetheart." Vera turned her face away. Eldon set the folding chair inside the threshold himself, careful not to cross the line. "At least give her that," he said. I stepped one board over, rain still dripping off me, body inside my own home for the first time that night. "Phone's on the island," I said evenly. "Red case. Charging pad." Lyra hesitated, then lied. "We don't know where it is." Jared's eyes flicked toward the counter, a tell as plain as a neon sign. That's when the phone buzzed. The screen lit up just long enough for me to read. "Transfer scheduled 9 a.m. Signature packet ready. First Gulf Bank." My name sat right there in the subject line. Lyra lunged to cover it, but the porch cam blinked red, capturing everything. "It's not what you think," Vera stammered. "It's always exactly what I think," I said softly. Eldon looked between us. "Financial dispute, I should note?" he asked. I nodded once. "There is now—" I straightened my back, voice calm as prayer. "Lyra, if that packet carries my name, you have 5 minutes to decide who you want to be in this family." The rain stopped like it heard me. Far down the street, a siren murmured closer. The porch light steadied, as if the house itself had made up its mind. 2 officers stepped up, rainwater still dripping from their jackets, radios hissing softly. Lyra jumped in before anyone could breathe. "She's confused," she said. Her tone sweetened but sour underneath. I stood there, spine straight, words sharp. "Henrietta Clove, homeowner, 68, stitches on my right arm at 5:20 p.m., discharge from Westbrook Urgent Care. Every fact neat as a ledger." The younger officer, polite but cautious, nodded and scribbled, "We'll verify welfare for both you and the child," he he said. I added. And retrieve my phone. Red case. On the island, that's all I'm asking. Vera puffed herself up beside Lyra. House rules, she started. We're past rules. I cut in, calm but clear. We're in duty of care territory now. The older officer looked at me, then at the bracelet blinking faintly on my wrist. Everything we say is recorded, I said twice. Actually, ring and your body cams. He gave a brief smile. Then let's make it count. Report 1429A, he began, dictating for the record. Injured elder. Basic aid refused by residents. Minor on premises. Lyra hesitated, caught between pride and fear. Jared, bless him, finally moved, grabbed a towel but waited for her nod before handing it over. The delay spoke louder than the gesture. The officer took it, draped it across my shoulders himself. Aid acknowledged, he said. That line would live forever in some file, and that was enough for me. Who changed the locks today? He asked. Silence. Lyra blinked. Vera muttered. Maintenance. I met the camera's lens and said, not authorized by me. The timestamp clicked like a gavel. Names, I added softly. They gave them, one after the other, each syllable pinned to the air like an evidence tag. Then came the sync. Would you like the ring footage? Officer, I asked. He lifted his tablet. If you can share. I recited the email. Every letter deliberate. There, he said after a minute. Synced and stored. He checked the playback the moment Lyra denied aid, the changed locks, the phone flashing on the counter. You've been thorough, ma'am. Old habits, I replied. Some of us keep records the way others keep secrets. I asked for a 30-second check on Tess. Just the doorway, I said. Lyra stiffened. She's asleep. Then it'll be quick. The officer turned to Vera. Baby monitor. Charging in the study? She lied. I pointed to the one by the console. Black screen. No light. He logged. Monitor off while claiming child asleep. Jared blurted. She's fine. I checked. Contradicting them both, it slipped out. Truth always does when fear squeezes. Then let's verify, the officer said. Lyra asked for a supervisor. You'll have one without... Himaland. After we finish this... We passed through the kitchen, the air thick with nerves and the faint smell of wine. The phone on the island buzzed again. The lock screen glowed. Transfer scheduled 9 a.m. Signature packet ready. The officer read it aloud. Bank spam, Vera said. If my accounts are involved, I answered. That's not spam. Jared looked down. Lyra's jaw tightened. The older officer asked, Any courier deliveries today? Vera said no too fast. I didn't argue. I just tilted my head toward the console drawer. He noticed. Can I call your attorney for you, ma'am? He asked. On speaker, please. My lawyer's voice came through clear and low. I verified my identity by file number. He moved fast, flagged the transfer, froze permissions, looped in the bank's fraud desk. By the time the call ended, their plan had lost its morning. Vera muttered. Ungrateful woman? I ignored it. Asked for water. The officer requested it. Lyra brought a glass, handshaking. Thank you, I said, small but firm. I took one sip, then covered the glass with my palm. I'll rest in my room tonight, quietly. The officer nodded. We reached the hallway, soft carpet under wet shoes. He knocked gently on Tess's door. Just confirming welfare, he said. The house held its breath. Lyra said, See? Asleep. Too fast, too bright. The officer nudged the dimmer. The nightlight glowed faintly. The bed was empty. The officer's hand paused on the dimmer, lifting the light one notch at a time until the nursery's truth appeared. The crib was empty, sheets too smooth, blanket folded like a display. The lie that Tess was asleep cracked right down the center of that room, I said clearly. No monitor, no nightlight, no child. Every word went straight to the record. Lyra rushed to fix the story. She's in the guest room. But Vera stumbled right behind her, muttering something about rotating rooms. Contradictions came faster than breath. The officer didn't scold, just logged each one. Steady and deliberate. Jared's voice, shaky but honest, said he heard a door earlier. We followed his gesture toward the garage mudroom. where Tess lay asleep in a stroller by the laundry sink. The chill made my throat ache. I covered her with my throw, murmuring softly, "Mama's here." The officer noted. "Minor located. Temperature low." He asked for a blanket, a bottle, a baby bag. Lyra snapped. "She's fine," I said. "We'll let the report decide that." Jared fetched the bag, still zipped, formula unopened. I narrated calmly. 1 bottle unused, 1 thermometer missing. My voice stayed even. Facts sting harder when spoken softly. Lyra's frustration bled into the air. I hummed while tucking Tess against my chest. Low. Old. Something my mother used to sing after long shifts. It wasn't defiance. It was dignity. Then came the ping from Miss Delgado's text. The officer read it. Ring footage uploaded. She'd captured Lyra laughing as I stood in the rain. Another clip showed Vera flipping the porch light off. The officers accepted the files. Delgado posted a private safety alert on the neighborhood app. Lyra's face flushed scarlet. "Take that down," she barked. The officer said. "It's lawful documentation." I met his eyes. "No comment tonight. The record speaks." He nodded. I turned to Vera. "You remember my homeowner's rider?" I asked. Her eyes narrowed. I recited the clause from memory. Refusal of emergency shelter to the titled insured nullifies liability coverage for secondary occupants. The officer asked me to repeat it for audio. I did, word for word, and added the policy number. Vera tried to laugh it off until the HOA security desk confirmed it live on speaker. I continued, calm as prayer. "That triggers a safety review." Lyra's shoulders dropped. "Fine," she said. "She can stay." The officer replied, "It's compliance, not kindness." My phone came back with reluctant hands. I unlocked it, turned the screen toward them. "Transfer scheduled 9 a.m. Ownership shift packet." The officer logged it aloud. Another message blinked open. Vera texting, "Turn the light off and don't open, nay." I didn't touch the device again. Jared's face hollowed. His silence confessed enough. I asked to call my attorney using the officer's phone. "Henrietta Clove," I said when Marlowe answered. His voice gravel sure. We confirmed evidence. Insurance clause, and he said a mobile notary for Dawn. 6:45 a.m. Sharp documents, revocation of access, no contact, interim custody safety for Tess. He patched in the bank. The account froze before Lyra could blink. I ended the call with one sentence. Documentation is mercy for the truth. By then, the air had settled into something final. The officer arranged sleeping orders. My bedroom. Tess in the nursery. Door open, welfare check at 3:30. Lyra whispered, "Can she take the master?" The officer didn't hesitate. "She's the titled insured." I asked for sheets and the spare key on the dresser. Vera muttered, "Always the dramatics," I answered softly. "No more speeches, only compliance." The house exhaled a low mechanical hum, like judgment itself. I laid Tess down, brushed her curls, and whispered a promise I meant to keep. As I closed my door, my phone vibrated once. Courier signature. Confirm 9 o'clock. The subject line held my trust's nickname. Someone still had a way in. At 3 o'clock, My phone blinked with the kind of precision that meant intention, not accident. The subject line. Courier signature. Confirm 9 o'clock a.m. Carried the private nickname of my trust, something only family knew. I tapped details. The sender's IP traced to my own Wi-Fi through a printer I hadn't touched in a year. Labeled Guest LP. Someone in this house had scanned something meant to replace me. I didn't open the attached PDF. I took screenshots, the queue list, the device address, and the timestamp. I sent them to Marlowe Pike and to the responding officer. Secondary pipeline found. Documenting live. The night outside was still. But inside, everything had started to hum. By 3:20, Marlowe called back. "They're using an alias tied to Vera's recovery email," he said, voice clipped. "We'll flag it." The bank's compliance desk confirmed the 9 o'clock a.m. transfer block, but an e-signature vendor link remained open. If they click it before dawn, it'll fail audit, but we'll need proof of intent, Miss, I said. "You'll get it," Jared appeared in the doorway, face pale. "I heard the laundry door," he murmured. "Around 2:45. I noted the time, logged it on my phone. He didn't ask what I was doing. He already knew this wasn't a family night anymore. It was evidence preservation. At 3:30, when the welfare recheck knocked, I asked the officer to follow me to the garage. The air smelled of detergent and damp cardboard. A blue tote labeled taxes, 2021. 22 sat where the stroller had been. I opened it with gloved hands. Inside were photocopies of my trust, my signature lifted from old mortgage forms, and a flyer for Heron Mobile Notary. In the corner, a handwritten note, 9A, M, use side door. No porch. The officer photographed everything, sealed the tote, tagged it. I said clearly, "Material suggests premeditation." He nodded once. "It's going on the report." Something pulled me upstairs next. The attic ladder creaked as I climbed. Near the joist, a manila envelope waited, labeled home binder, drafts. Inside lay a fake grant deed. My name crossed out, replaced with Family Holdings, LLC. The sticky notes on the margin were Vera's hand, tight, slanted, Mellon Bank, Jared sign, recording wed. Betrayal has a handwriting all its own. I took my photos, then placed it back. When I descended, the officer caught my expression and didn't ask. Down the hall, the nursery monitor crackled to life. Lyra's whisper sliced through static. "Plan B's the courier. The notary can't block an e-sign." Then Vera, low and confident, "Keep her phone busy at 6:40. I'll meet the driver." The officer raised his body cam, caught every word. My pulse steadied. "That'll do," I whispered. I texted Marlowe. Plan B confirmed via monitor. Body cam recorded, the rest unfolded like choreography. I printed my own packets. Access revocation. No contact, interim safety directive. Each line tabbed. Ready for dawn. Miss. Delgado agreed to stand outside at 6:45. The HOA patrol logged their pass-by. I brewed coffee, checked the porch light, adjusted the ring angle. Then I sent one message to Jared. "You choose where you stand, son, but you don't get to stand nowhere." At 6:40, morning crept like judgment. The street turned amber under the first light. A white van idled at the corner. Logo half-taped, driver masked with fatigue. Vera slipped from the garage in a scarf and sunglasses, pretending anonymity could hide intent. Lyra hovered by the window, phone raised, waiting for a cue that wouldn't come. Miss. Delgado's phone angled. The HOA patrol car slowed. Every lens was awake. I stepped onto my porch, folder in hand, baby monitor still recording in my pocket. Jared came behind me. Steady now. Holding the spare key and the nursery thermometer, a child's peace offering for a broken night. The courier opened the van door, 2 envelopes in hand, one with my trust nickname, one marked Vera Hart. Her fingers reached. My voice, calm as prayer. "Sir, you are attempting service on a frozen entity under fraud review." The HOA patrol lights flashed once. The officer from the welfare check stepped from the side yard. The camera blinked red. Catching the second she froze, and Vera did not. The courier froze mid-step when I said the word fraud. His eyes darted to Officer Bain's body cam light. That steady red glow that meant everything was being preserved. "There's an active bank freeze," I told him. "Any delivery under these names is a violation of federal instruction." My tone was calm, Sunday morning calm, the kind that makes liars nervous. HOA patrol idled at the curb, blue lights pulsing once. Vera hissed, "This is family business." Lyra pressed her face to the kitchen glass, phone lifted, pretending this was still about control. I held out my phone showing the freeze token, the timestamp, the bank's incident ID. He took one look and lowered the envelopes. I turned toward the camera above the door and began a short record. Secondary pipeline originated from our house printer. Courier flyer matched the taxes box discovered earlier. Bain repeated the reference for his report. Then I played the monitor clip from my phone. The hiss of Lyra's voice saying, "Plan B is the courier. Arlo." The courier went still, checking the manifest against his list. Both say Clove Family Trust, he murmured. Miss. Delgado's voice carried from across the street. I heard that same line last night. The web of their own words had folded around them, and I didn't need to raise mine. When Vera lunged to grab the envelope, Arlo stepped back, startled. Bain lifted his palm. Ma'am, you need to stay back. I marked the edge of the porch with my shoe. This is a legal boundary, I said. Do not cross it. Lyra came running, shouting. Just sign the courier sheet, Mother, as if saying Mother could erase the night's footage. I raised the access revocation notice, already flagged with yellow tabs. Your access ends now, I told her, each word slow enough to be heard over the hum of the porch light. Behind me, the door chimed as Jared opened it, silent but present. A white sedan pulled to the curb, Heron Mobile Notary. Right on time. The agent stepped out, briefcase neat, voice neutral. Miss Clove? That's me, I said, showing ID. Arlo was told to pause delivery. He held both envelopes untouched. Miss. Delgado crossed over. Phone raised. Quiet strength on her face. Officer Bain shifted slightly to film the notary seal process. It all looked ordinary, but ordinary can be powerful when truth has structure. I executed 3 documents. First, the refund agreement, listing assets misused and noting refusal if they declined to sign. Second, the no-contact order. 90 days, no calls, no doorstep visits. Third, the access revocation. Every keypad, lock, and digital code disabled by noon. Jared signed as witness. The notary pressed each seal, crisp and final. Insurance and HOA will receive copies within the hour. I said, I wasn't warning, I was informing. Lyra tried one last maneuver, holding her phone up, narrating. She's overreacting, I turned toward her lens. Pending fraud review and network evidence are live. Spin won't erase data. Arlo read his company policy aloud. Confirming he couldn't deliver disputed documents, he reloaded both envelopes, sealed the van, and called dispatch to report fraud interaction. Vera's jaw clenched. She muttered, Post it first. But her voice cracked on first. I put Marlowe Pike on speaker. His tone was clean steel. The freeze stands. If they touch those documents again, that's criminal. Officer Bain nodded for the record. Body cam caught all of it. Hasi io fiani said. Miss, Delgado repeated. I witnessed every signature, Bain confirmed her statement, and the sound of the notary's seal seemed louder than it should have been, like punctuation in stone. Vera lowered her phone, stepped forward until one foot touched the bottom step. The porch light brightened automatically. Motion triggered? Ma'am, don't, Bain warned. I didn't move. Jared stood behind me, pressed something into my palm, the spare key. Use mine, he said. The house hummed, lights steady, everything recorded. The line was drawn, and everyone knew which side they stood on. Vera's foot lingered on the step as if daring the world to move her. Officer Bain's voice stayed level but sharp enough to cut air. Ma'am, that step places you within her boundary. Please return to your side. She blinked at the firmness, then retreated one riser, shoes scraping wood. I repeated calmly. The access revocation is active. The red body cam light confirmed every syllable. Lyra muttered. She loves a performance. I glanced at the camera above the porch and said the time aloud. Jared closed the door behind me, locking it once, then twice. Placing his spare key in my palm. You take it now, he whispered. Miss... Delgado called across the yard that she'd file her statement. The HOA patrol noted incident concluded before driving off. My legs trembled, but only slightly. The system was working. Preparation had weight. Consequence stood tall where argument used to live. By 9, the neighborhood thread flared alive. Vera's post described me as overly litigious, claiming I'd weaponized procedure. Yet the replies told another story. Someone had seen the patrol lights. Another referenced the officer's presence. Miss Delgado wrote a plain summary. Dates, times, no adjectives, and it landed like gospel. OA management added the trespass policy, stripping Vera's words of drama. I took screenshots, no comments, discipline over impulse. Jared's phone buzzed with messages from coworkers. Lyra's shaky video had surfaced, and nobody bought her narrative. "They said it looks desperate," he told me. I nodded. Public sympathy wasn't my aim, safety and order were, but the shift in tone carried its own quiet justice. Marlowe called as I poured coffee, wire flagged, funds rolling back, freeze held perfectly. The words felt like oxygen. We reviewed the printer logs and metadata, the device tied directly to Lyra's profile. "Solid chain," he said. I authorized cooperation with the precinct's cyber unit. "Keep it clean," I added. "We're not after spectacle." Jared asked if he should tell HR. "Short, factual. No emotion." I said, "You control your story." A restitution outline formed. Provisional credit back to my trust. Potential DA follow-up. It wasn't revenge. It was repair. And repair lasts longer. At 10, I laid the taxes box on the dining table. Inside, receipts, invoices, signatures spliced from my checks onto her forms. The attic envelope followed. Draft deeds, wrong beneficiaries, on speaker. Marlowe guided me to photograph each page beside the morning paper. "Chain it to today," he said. Officer Bain logged the new evidence before leaving. One note, scrawled in Vera's hand. "Recording wed," landed hardest. I realized they'd planned my erasure while sitting under my roof. I slipped each item into a plastic sleeve, labeling them recovered property, active investigation. Paper doesn't lie, people do. Lyra texted mid-morning. "Let's have a family talk." "No cops," Vera added. "Your husband would have wanted peace." I stared at the screen. "Peace without truth is silence," I murmured, replying once. "All communication through counsel for 90 days. Jared's face tightened. "Mom, she's still your sister," I said softly. "And I'm still me. That's enough for now." Miss Delgado arrived with banana bread, leaving it without ceremony. I thanked her. Small decency steadied the air. By noon, consequences rippled outward. Jared's HR scheduled a wellness check. He answered plainly. No drama. Vera's community board announced her temporary leave. The insurer confirmed lock replacements and device audits. Marlowe drafted a stipulation. Refunds, apology letter, damages clause. "We'll hold the apology," I said. "They can keep their words. I'll take structure." The notary sent PDFs with seals. I backed them up thrice. Procedure had become my armor. I sat in the living room, steam rising from a fresh cup. "Boundaries aren't bridges burned," I whispered. "They're guardrails installed. Around me, house intact, peace earned, documents sealed." I thanked the air for steadiness, asked grace for Jared, folding each paper into the fireproof pouch. The zipper's sound was final, like a hymn closing. Then came the knock, firm, official. Bain again, this time with another deputy. "Miss Clove, notice of service," he said, eyes serious. "Online threats tied to the incident." I nodded. "Retrieve the screenshots already printed. Proceed quietly." My phone chimed twice. Bank credit confirmed. Choe requested a briefing. I handed over the papers. Steady as stone. When truth costs something, pay it in full. When the deputy unfolded the notice, my eyes caught the third name before his words reached me. Arlo Keene. My breath held for half a second. The same courier-turned-witness, now listed as a co-complainant alongside Vera and Lyra. "There must be some mistake," I said evenly. The deputy nodded. "Insurer input error. He's listed due to an ongoing claim report." That told me enough. Someone had twisted a technicality into a weapon. I asked for the record to be corrected at once, and Officer Bain agreed to escort me to the HOA office. Inside, I steadied my voice. "No outrage, just receipts," I told myself. Calm isn't weakness, it's containment. The HOA boardroom smelled of stale coffee and carpet cleaner. All false normalcy. I asked for a recorded session. The president nodded, activating the mic while counsel joined on speaker. "Well, we're here to clarify misreporting," I said, sliding forward copies of my access revocation and no contact orders, stamped and sealed from Dawn. The patrol log followed, time-stamped. Vera sat opposite me, eyes darting between the board members. Lyra scrolled her phone. Arlo arrived last, clutching his briefcase like a shield. I was told this was about property access. He muttered. It is, I said, and you're about to see who accessed what. I opened the folder labeled Taxes 20, 21, 22, invoices with my routing number, photos of appliances captioned as Lara's renovation gifts, and a service slip showing Vera's handwriting. Then the bank counsel joined via Marlowe's speaker line. Funds returned. Fraud freeze confirmed. Restitution completed. Paper trumps performance. I added screenshots of the doxing posts, Vera's neighborhood allies naming me unstable. Officer Bain logged each sheet. Arlo frowned, reading faster, his jaw tightening as he realized he'd been manipulated. I was misled, he said quietly, retracting his name on the record. Vera snapped. You can't just switch sides. The HOA counsel cut her off. He can, and he just did. The board's findings came next. Access revoked. Permanent. All entry fobs disabled. Vera suspended from committees for 1 year. Lyra barred from HOA subgroups for harassment. The insurer rep documented their misrepresentation. Arlo drafted an immediate correction. Officer Bain served warning notices for the doxing attempt, complete with case number. Marlowe's stipulation finalized over speaker. Refunds due in 15 days. Apology letter in escrow. 6 months of no contact. My signature was steady. I'd spent a lifetime signing checks for others. This one was for myself. In the hallway, Vera whispered. Let's talk privately. Just us, Lyra hissed. She loves an audience. I stopped mid-step. You've had enough private chances, I said. Every word from here goes through counsel. Jared stood near the elevator, pale but grounded. I'm done defending wrong, he said quietly. I handed him a copy of the stipulation, then turned to them both. This is the only bridge left. Paper. Not forgiveness. I meant it. By dusk, the locks had been rekeyed. I brewed tea, the kettle's whistle soft against the silence. Miss Delgado called, just to say she was proud of me. I smiled. I just did what the law already allowed. My new trust documents lay open beside the will update. Tomorrow they'd be notarized. Mercy without boundaries, I said aloud, is permission. Tonight, Mercy had rules. Then came the final wave of pings. The bank confirmed full restitution. The HOA emailed a note. Vera's weekend retreat post removed for policy violation. A third ping. Arlo's formal apology, CC'd to every board member. I didn't open it. I simply forwarded it to Marlowe's office for escrow. Victory didn't need savoring. It only needed structure. As the sun slipped low, I stepped onto the porch they once barred me from. Same boards, same view. But everything had changed. I flipped on the light. A small, deliberate act of reclamation. The glow reached the walkway, marking what was mine and what would remain. As I locked the porch gate that night, a car idled at the end of the cul-de-sac, headlights off, engine humming low. My phone buzzed with one new message. You think it's over, Henrietta? No name. Just that. I looked toward the streetlight and saw a familiar shadow step forward.